Okay, continuing on, we've got Book 11, The Land of the Dead. As we know, a bit of a recap. Our book skimmed over the last Dragonians, but basically last time we did Book 10, Circe, where we get the term holy moly. Again, Odysseus doesn't leave his men behind. He goes back and gets them. He's protected with the moly from Hermes, and he basically gets his men back, and Circe tells him how to get to the land of the dead, which obviously there's a surefire, easy way to get to the land of the dead, but most mortals don't want to take that route. So it was Circe, that was the approach, if you remember, tells him how to get there. Circe tells about a secret route to a hidden place. So next we've got to go to the land of the dead. Now there's two parts coming up in the hero cycle. It's the ordeal, the abyss. So if you look at the chart, ordeal or the abyss, look at that. Point 8. It is, if this were a clock, and he is sitting at 12 o'clock high, he is the king of the world. He is king of king of Ithaca. You can't get much further before you start coming back. This is the abyss. This is as far as one can fall. And it is literally called ordeal, death and rebirth, or the abyss. I mean, it is literally death. It is the land of the dead. It is Hades. So that is where we are. Circe told us how to get there. So the ordeal is literally the land of the dead. He has to go to the underworld. And then, of course, when he's there, he gets the reward. And that is the Tiresian prophecy. So let us discover what the Tiresian prophecy is in Book 11, The Land of the Dead. Odysseus and his crew set out for the land of the dead. They arrive and find the place to which Circe has directed them. Then I address the blurred and breathless dead, vowing to slaughter my best heifer for them before she calved at home in Ithaca, and burn the choice bits on the altar fire. As for Tiresias, I swore to sacrifice a black lamb, handsomest of all our flock, thus to assuage, to pacify the nations of the dead. I pledged these rites. Then slashed the lamb and ewe, letting their blood black stream into the well pit. Now the souls gathered, stirring out Eurybus, brides and young men, and men grown old in pain, and tender girls whose hearts were new to grief. Many there were, too, torn by brazen lance-heads, battle-slain, bearing their bloody gear. From every side they came, and sought the pit with rustling cries. And I grew sick with fear. So, it's again, Hades is really like, I don't know, this ghost land, this land of nothing. Remember, there's a part of Hades that is more our concept of hell, that is Tartarus, that is where people were punished. But it's like when you die, you just go to this land of nothing. There's shades, they're just sort of walking around. And to draw them in, he offers them the one thing they don't have. Blood, right? The symbol of life. So they kind of pull around, and he's seeing all these people that have passed on. He says, I grew sick with fear, but presently I gave command to my officers to flay those sheep with the bronze cut down and make burnt offerings of flesh to the gods below, to sovereign death, to pale Persephone, which we talked about when she goes down to the land of the dead, and her mother, Demeter, cries when she's gone. And of course that is our winter. Meanwhile, I crouched with my drawn sword to keep the surging phantoms from the bloody pit till I should know the presence of Tiresias. I was going to meet a couple other people here. One shade, or one ghost, one soul, came first. Elpenor, of our company. This is a shock. Who lay unburied still on the wide earth when we left him in Circe's hall. So he was dead in Circe's hall. Now, he doesn't know about this. Untouched, unmourned, when others' cares compelled us. Now when I saw him there I wept for pity and called out to him. How is this, Elpenor? How could you journey to the western gloom swifter afoot than I in the black lugger? How could you get here? When we left you, you were on Circe's land. How'd you get here faster than we did? Well, he took the route most mortals take, right? To die. He sighed and answered, Son of great Laertes, Odysseus, master and mariner and soldiers. Bad luck shadowed me, and no kindly power. Ignorable death, I drank with so much wine. So after Odysseus left, he got drunk. He basically goes up Circe's on her house and falls. I got drunk with so much wine, I slept on Circe's roof and could not see the long, steep, backward ladder coming down, and fell that height. My neck bone buckled under, snapped, and my spirit found this well of dark. Now hear thy grace I pray for, in thy name of those back in the world, not here, your wife and father, he who gave your bread in childhood, and your own child, your own son Telemachus, long ago left at home. When you make sail and put those lodgings of dim death behind, you will moor your ship, I know, upon Aea Island. There, O my lord, remember me, pray. Do not abandon me, unwept, unburied, to tempt the gods' wrath while you sail for home, but fire my corpse and all the gear I had, built a cairn for me above the breakers, an unknown soldier's mark for men to come. Heap up the mound there and implant upon it the oar I pulled in life with my companions. So he's basically saying, give me a proper Greek burial. Don't just let my body lay there. He ceased, and I replied, unhappy spirit, I promise you the barrow and the burial. Again, model. He's going to do what's right for his men. Even though he needs to get home, and even though he's got other stuff to do, he's going to provide proper burial for his men. He's taking care of them in life and in death. This is a model. So we conversed, and grimly at a distance, with long swords between, guarding the blood, while the faint image of my lad spoke on. Now came the soul of Anticlea, dead, my mother, daughter of Autolycus, dead now, though living still when I took ship for holy Troy. Seeing this ghost I grieved, but held her off through pang and pang of tears, till I should know the presence of Tiresias. So here his mom comes up. He wants to mourn her, but a soldier's gotta do what a soldier's gotta do. He's not here for that. He has to put his own feelings aside and get the job done. This is certainly a model. We all have hearts. We all have loved ones. He doesn't have time to mourn just yet. He needs to get the job done. Keep his eye on the prize. Seeing this ghost I grieved, but held her off through pang and pang of fears till I should know the presence of Tiresias. Soon, from the dark, that prince of Thebes came forward, bearing a golden staff, and he addressed me. Now, Tiresias is blind. Here's some irony that he has actual sight. He can see prophecies, but he's actually blind. Son of Laertes and the gods of old, Odysseus, master of land ways and sea ways. Again, that's those epithets, those little titles, right? In this case, master of land ways and sea ways that they would often plug in. Usually they would do it to keep the beat. It is an epic poem, so maybe they needed to add some syllables. But it's also to remind us of who is who and to show respect. Why leave the blazing sun, O man of woe, to see the cold dead in the joyless region? Stand clear, put up your sword. Let me but taste some blood, and I shall speak. Right? It's a symbol of life. At this I stepped aside, and in the scabbard let my long sword ring home to the pommel silver, and he bent down to the somber blood. Then spoke the prince of those with great speech, the gift of speech. Great captain, a fair wind and the honeyed lights of home are all you seek. But anguish lies ahead. The god who thunders on the land prepares it, not to be shaken from your track, implacable. In rancor for the sun whose eye you blinded. So Polyphemus is the Cyclops, and Poseidon is the god of the sea that they're talking about. So he's ticked. One narrow strait may take you through his blows, denial of yourself, restraint of shipmates. When you make landfall on Thrinacia, first in quit the violet sea, dark on the land, you'll find the grazing herds of Helios, like the sun god, right? Helios. By whom all things are seen, all speech is known. Avoid these cattle. Hold fast to your intent, and hard seafaring brings you home to Ithaca. But if you raid the cattle, I see destruction for your ship. Though you survive alone, bereft of all companions, lost for years, under strange sail shall you come home to find your own house filled with trouble. Insolent men, these are the suitors, eating your livestock as they court your lady. Aye, you shall make those men atone in blood. But after you have dealt out death in open combat or by stealth, to all the suitors go overland on foot and take an oar, until one day you come where men have lived with meat unsalted, never known to the sea, nor seen seagoing ships with crimson bows, and oars that fled the light hulls for dipping. The spot will soon be plain to you, and I say I can tell you how. Some passerby will say, what winnowing fan is that upon your shoulder? Halt and implant your smooth oar on the turf, and make fair sacrifice to Lord Poseidon. Ram, a bull, a great buck boar, turn back and carry out pure hecatombs at home to all wide heaven's lords, the undying gods, to each in order. Then a sea-born death soft as this hand of mist will come upon you, when you are wearied out with rich old age. Your countryfolk in blessed peace all around you, and this shall be just as I foretell. Odysseus speaks to his shade of his mother. So after he got his business done, then he did what a good Greek son would do. He mourns his mother. She, his mom, tells that Penelope and Telemachus are still grieving for him, their lost father, and that his father Laertes has moved to the country where he too mourns his son. Odysseus' mother explains that she died of a broken heart. Odysseus also speaks with spirits of many great ladies and men who have died. He meets Achilles, in fact, as well as those who were being punished for all their earthly sins. Filled with horror, Odysseus and his crew set sail. So the prophecy. What is the prophecy? He basically says you're going to be tempted. As you go home, you're going to come across the cattle of Helios, so the cattle of the sun god. And he says, if you leave the cattle alone, look at the left half of this picture. If you leave the cattle alone, if you leave them alive, you're going to have smooth sailing all the way home. If, however, on the right-hand side, if you decide to kill and eat these cattle, look at the sea. You're going to be plagued with storms and your ships will be lost. So that is the prophecy. Go to, basically, when you go by the cattle, Lord Helios, don't eat them. And we know, of course, he's going to have rough seas. So we know somehow those cattle get eaten. Also, at the very bottom of this picture, you can't see it, he talks about going and planting an ore. That is the final stage. The final stage is the return. Now, this is skipping ahead, but he says if you do all this, eventually you're going to go in and you're going to plant your ore in Ithaca, and it'll be a sign for all to see. So that is like his return. So he does say you will return. He does say you will have your land again. But are you going to see it quickly? Are you going to see it soon? And the way you would do that would be to not eat the cattle. Or if you end up eating the cattle, it's going to be a long, arduous journey. So he knows this. The prophecy is to not eat the cattle, and yet we know that, some dramatic irony, we know that it is going to take him a long time. So we know somehow this prophecy is going to go awry. But alas, there is Book 11, The Land of the Dead. Come on.